Remember, there's some pretty important information here in the disclaimer. You might want to give the video a quick pause and read it. Hello my friends, this is Waking 2001 coming at you with another custom video. This is the second part of Chaos Blast Commission, and it is the Saturday Morning Sonic from the Deke cartoon. Now, I've made this character a few times already, so we all know the song and dance, and yes, this is being made to go with that Tails figure that I made before. But real quick, I just wanted to reminisce about something that I just remembered. I think that this might actually have been the actual inspiration for me wanting to make my own toys way back in the day. Like, I didn't actually start doing custom action figures and stuff until I was already in my early 20s, but like, way back when I was still in my single digit ages and I was like, drawing, I do recall now that one of the first things I did was try and figure out how I would get a Sonic the Hedgehog action figure, because back then they really didn't have one. I think it was roughly-ish around the time the Crash and Smash bike came out, tantalizing me with the idea that a Sonic toy could exist. And I recall actually drawing down a blueprint for myself where I would get like a G.I. Joe action figure and like make parts for it that looked like Sonic. And I specifically picked the G.I. Joe because back then those were the most flexible and articulated figures you could get. And even back then I wanted a Sonic figure that I could put into whatever pose I wanted. So, that goes to show where my headspace has been ever since I was a little kid. And they say that little kids don't care about articulation and posability. But yeah, like, I wish I still had that old drawing left, but it's literally something I drew on some typing paper and put in a binder that's probably been thrown away since long ago. But yeah, like, I remember back then not really being able to come up with anything that I could make the Sonic parts out of. Like, because the only thing that I was able to sculpt with back then would have been like clay or Play-Doh, which back then that stuff was a lot crumblier than it is today. So I figured if I tried to make an action figure out of that, it would just like crumble and break when I tried to move it. Like, I think maybe with modern Play-Doh, which is made to a different standard, you might be able to pull that off. But back in the day, it was basically like when it allowed to harden and dry out, it basically just became like crumbly stale bread. Like, that was the quality of Play-Doh when I was in my single digit years. Okay, so I just decided to fill in that little bit of backstory to make this video longer because there really isn't too much to it. I 3D printed the head based off of Corey's model, like always, and after smoothing out the support scars and attaching the spine, we have a perfectly good Saturday Morning Sonic head. The funny thing, like, I just love how the Deke cartoon, like, the head looks like it does in the cartoon from profile and maybe from dead straight on, but no other direction. Because, Sonic's spine is physically impossible in the Deke style. Like, it's like Mickey Mouse's ears, which are always round no matter what angle you see his head at. Sonic having 3 spines visible no matter what angle you look at his head is just something that you can't do in real life. I took the buckle off of the shoe. This time, I opted to get really precise in there and like very carefully slice the buckle off without damaging the actual stripe underneath it. And like really getting at there and gently shaving away until it was precisely measured, and then painting over the bit of the red that, would have been exposed by cutting the buckle off and having the shoe made that way. So there's no obvious sculpting that has to be done to cover anything. And, with the magnification effect and the flash you're seeing, like what's left of the buckle shadowed in the stripe. But I assure you, like, to the naked eye, you really can you really can't see it unless you know what to look for. So that's, yeah, like you get, it can't all just be about 3D printing and painting. Sometimes I really want to get in there with my cutting to prove that I'm dexterous, you know? The body is the same modification as always. Remove the back spines, which is simple enough because they're pegged into place. Sculpt over the back with the new single spine. In this case, I had to make a tail too. Full disclosure, this is the Sonic figure that came in that lot I bought from eBay so that I could get the Rouge figure to make my Princess Sally custom from back in the day. So, yep, this is me just finding uses for the other stuff that came in that lot. And that's it. Like, you know, put everything back on. No modification was done to the hands because he wanted it to still be able to hold a ring, so no swapping out for a 4-fingered hand. And, you know, there we go. That is Sonic the Hedgehog from the Deke animation style, you know. So yeah, I'm just kind of like talking slower so that the pictures can be up a little bit longer. But yeah, like this goes perfectly with the Tails figure. And I do believe that the scaling is just about right. I mean, if you compare the scaling of these two figures to the reference photo I used at the beginning, Tails coming up so that roughly his nose is at about the level of Sonic's shoulder, that is pretty much how they're supposed to be. I mean, like, their height difference isn't this extreme in the actual video games, but it was in this cartoon. In fact, I do remember an episode of the cartoon where Tails is actually able to ride around in Sonic's backpack. Although, I'm not sure how, like, that was, I think that was still in the pilot when they were still doing a little bit of the rubber hose cartoony stuff before they decided to basically make this the Batman the Animated Series of Sonic the Hedgehog. Which is kind of funny, because in 1993, I think Batman the Animated Series had just barely come out, so they probably just independently decided, hey, what if we made an awesome cartoon? Like, I know, like, what a strange concept to think of that, but you gotta remember, this is licensed work in the 90s, you know, like this, like they could have phoned it in, and, you know, but I digress. I'm not gonna be talking about quality. So yeah, thank you all for watching the video. Let's have Sonic take us out like he always does.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just here to remind you that if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. And for even more amazing customs, don't forget to subscribe to Wake Angel 2001, because between you and me, they're way past cool.